can heal this home.
Hi, and welcome to our fourth session on the Love Is series. Look, we're doing Love Does Not Rejoice at Wrongdoing, but Rejoices at the Truth. We've been doing quite a few sessions on this now, and even in preparing this series, I begin to discover that I myself, there's so many parts of me that are just, they need to be looked at again. I thought I was patient and kind, and I actually thought I did pretty well with a whole range of the things within the Love Is sort of category. But even as I have read through it, God has been convicting me. So I hope that that would be the case for us, every single one of us. Let us not be like that rich young ruler who thinks that we have it made and that we have kept all of these commandments. We continually need to image Christ. So if you have some free time, can I encourage you to read through 1 Corinthians? We did the series on the cross just before the Love Is series, and it really covers how in our own strength, we can't, without Jesus, we can't make it to God. Our wisest things are not as powerful as God is, and that God could even use the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. It is continually amazing to me that God would use the poor and the destitute, and that even in an area like this, Christianity thrives and grows. Yet in areas that are so well built, like Melbourne, and where we have resources and money, Christianity is dying. I think part of that comes down to the core of what is Christianity, that love doesn't seek its own way. Whenever our life becomes consumed by our own selves, we miss out on the transformational power of God and of love. Well, today we look at 2 things that we can rejoice in. Whether you're rejoicing with wrongdoing or you're rejoicing with truth. Everyone rejoices at something, really. Rejoice at wrongdoing, it tries to capture this concept of something bad is happening, but you're happy for it. Maybe you think the person deserves it. Maybe he's got nothing to do with you at all, but somehow you're glad that they have done wrong, that they made a mistake. Or maybe the best way to do it is to look at today's passage, which is in Luke 7:44-47. I'm not going to read it now, you'll read it in the home group. But it's the story of Jesus as he gets invited to a Pharisee's house. And when he gets there, a woman comes. And the Bible describes her as a woman of the city. That is sort of Bible code for she was a prostitute. And then on top of that, in case you didn't realize, it says she was a woman of the city and a sinner. So she's described as a sinner. She comes in, she's got an alabaster jar, and she breaks that jar and washes Jesus' feet. Not just with the perfume and her hair, but the Bible says with her tears she washes Jesus' feet. And upon seeing this, the Pharisee, in truth, so if we're talking about truth, what is happening is a sinner is coming to Jesus and asking for forgiveness. She is trying to seek out some hope for grace and love. She wants to change her life. She's going to Jesus as her only hope. So in truth, something good is happening. It's good, right? She's not doing prostitution at that moment. She's not sinning at that moment. But the Pharisee, he can only see the bad in her. And he goes up to Jesus and says, "What is she doing here? She's a sinner. Jesus, how can she touch you even?" And you can see, to some extent, he's rejoicing in wrongdoing. Jesus, it's quite interesting actually. One of the concepts with rejoicing with wrongdoing is that when you rejoice in wrongdoing, actually one of the people in our mission trip described it like this. It's being judgmental. When you're judgmental to others, it begets, I think, a cycle of judgmentalism. And so Jesus, he turns around to Simon, the Pharisee, and says, Simon, when I came in, you didn't wash my feet. You were supposed to. That's the custom of the day. You didn't give me a holy kiss. She's not stopped kissing my feet. That's the custom of the day. You call me teacher, and you did not anoint my head with oil. Simon was so focused on the sin or the wrongdoing of the other person that he completely did not see his own. And I think that's what happens sometimes when we look at other people and kind of judge them, and we rejoice at their wrongdoing. For me, a very down-to-earth way to look at it is the concept of, I told you so. You know how it goes. It goes like this. You tell somebody, oh, you know what, you better be careful, watch carefully where you're walking. And they're like, oh, don't worry about it. And then they fall down. And then when they fall down, when they're trying to get up, you're not helping them get up. You're not helping to stitch their wounds because you secretly think they deserve it. You told them not to do that. They've gone ahead and they've fallen down. And inside of you, you're rejoicing that they've fallen down. That's not love. That's not God's love anyway. You might think that's normal, but I don't think Jesus would do that. Instead, Jesus would see this person trying to get up from the sin or the fall that they've had. And he would say, let me help you up. The truth is, you are trying to get up. The truth is, you've just been hurt, and I can help. And so, also another thing with the Greek in that passage is, it says, love does not rejoice at wrongdoing. That word epi in Greek means it's kind of removed. So it's not rejoices with wrongdoing or in wrongdoing. It's talking about wrongdoing and it's separate. So it's like, you have done wrong. And then it presents the alternative, which is love rejoices with the truth. Can you really celebrate when somebody else is doing well? That's a true sign of love. I've noticed when people really struggle with other people's success. So this Pharisee, he's seeing a sinner, and it looks like she's going to be forgiven. It looks like she's having time with Jesus. What? She's having time with Jesus? She doesn't deserve things to go well for her. Jesus tells the parable in that passage of a person who owes 50 denarii versus, I think, like 500. And he says, who is going to be more happy? And clearly, neither the person who owes 50 nor the person who owes 500 could repay it. And the Pharisee was like that. Even though he owed 50, maybe, he couldn't work his way out of his own sin, and neither could that woman. But Jesus says, why don't you just rejoice? An example for me is when I was a kid. I always kind of thought that I was the smarter one in the family. And I have a sister. You may or may not have met my sister. But there was one year my sister did better than me. Actually, quite a few now, to think of it. She did better than me. And I found it really hard to rejoice at the truth of her being better than me. It made no difference because I was already 2 grades ahead of her. If she did well, it didn't mean that my grades went down. It had no difference to me at all. I'd already finished that year level. But I couldn't rejoice with my sister, and sometimes that hits us in our own areas. So can I encourage you as you go to the discussion, please robustly think about this and see what is it that you rejoice in with your wife, your husband, with your kids, in your workplace, with the people around you. Can you really be happy with other people's truthful success? God bless.